Hey there, Stampers. Happy Friday. Welcome to this week's Facebook Live. My name is Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Alberta, Canada, and I'm excited to be here today. I've got a fun, I'm going to share 3 cards, and I'm going to share a fun technique called the stack, cut, and shuffle technique. We're going to make 3 cards. And we're going to do Christmas cards. Okay, so let me just update my iPad here. All right. Okay, so before we get started, I want to share a few things. First of all, it's September 1st. However, the mini catalog, which I know that you guys are so excited about, does not actually start until September 6th. So it runs from September 6th to January 3rd. So you can start ordering from this beginning September 6th. So I wanted to point that out. If you live in Canada, don't already have a demonstrator, and have not yet received a mini catalog, just reach out. I'd be happy to send one to you. Lots and lots of great new things in there. And then this month's, so the September's Paper Pumpkin Kit is called With Love and Gratitude. It includes 8 treat packages, 8 note cards, 8 coordinating envelopes, and then an exclusive stamp set, and all the bits and pieces that you need to create those projects. But in addition to that is a fabulous optional add-on product, and it's called the Thoughts of Thanks Journal. And I received mine. I ordered several of these because I'm going to use them as gifts, but I wanted to share it with you because it is so pretty. So it's got a nice hard cover. The pattern on the front is beautiful. Gold coils, and then it's got some gold foiling in the patterns. And then there's 2 sheets of gold foil stickers, and it comes with a gold clip, and then just a bunch of lined pages. So you can use this as a gratitude journal, but you could use it for anything really. And it, like I said, it would make a fabulous gift as well with the holidays coming up. So I wanted to point that out. This is available while supplies last, and you do need to be a Paper Pumpkin subscriber in order to be able to purchase this, okay? All right, so there was that. And then also starting September 6th, hey Shauna, happy Friday. I know, isn't it a beautiful journal? I love it. It's so pretty. I can't wait to crack it open and start using it. All right, so starting on September 6th, we have 5 new paper packages that are going to be released. These are in addition to what is coming out in the September to December mini catalog. Now, I don't know why my C didn't print here. It looks kind of funny, but who knows? Finicky printer. But anyways, there's 5 new paper packages coming out. One of them is a gold and silver adhesive backed glimmer paper. How fun is that? So these are only going to be available online. You can order them like with a regular order, or if you're coming to a class, and combine them with other products, but you'll only be able to see these online. All right. And then there's 4 other paper packages. This one here, I love this one. And this one coordinates with a new bundle that is coming out in the September mini catalog. So some great products here. So these are paper packages that Stampin' Up! Had initially designed to be released with our second celebration release. However, we don't do a second celebration anymore. So they decided to offer these as kind of like an online exclusive item. So you can look forward to seeing those. All right, now on to today's crafting. So I would love for you to craft right alongside me. I'm gonna walk you through creating 3 cards using a fun technique where we take 3 pieces of 6x6 pattern paper, and we stack them, we cut them, and then we shuffle them. Okay, so that's the technique. That's what it's called. It's stack, cut, and shuffle. So I got this idea from Mary Nabe, a demonstrator in the US, and I kind of tweaked it a little bit because if you've followed me for a while, I love to get lots of use. I don't like to waste anything. So I tweaked it a bit to work with 6x6 paper, and there is no waste. All right. So what you'll need is you'll need 3 patterns of coordinating 6x6 paper. And I am using the beautiful One Horse Open Sleigh DSP, which is an online exclusive. So you can see, let me just do a quick flip through of this DSP in case you're not familiar with it. So it's got this beautiful imagery on one side. And then on the back side, I'll share that in just a second. Like, look how pretty this is. You really don't need to do much with this paper at all. And then the back side is smaller, more geometric patterns. Lots of colors in this paper. Love this one. All right, so that's what the paper looks like. And when you choose your pattern paper, what you want to do is you want to choose kind of different scales. Okay, so you don't want to necessarily choose this one. Oh, hang on. Let's do this one, and this one, because the scale of the papers is kind of all the same. Okay, so you can see here that I've chosen kind of one with a scenery, one that's it's still a scenery, but it's a little bit more busy. This one has lots of white space, and then one that has a kind of a smaller pattern, and they all kind of coordinate. So my color combination is going to be crumb cake, pebbled path, and just a little bit of coral, or not coral, copper. Okay, so those are the 3 patterns that I've chosen. And then you'll need 3 card bases. Now, to keep this simple, because the whole point is making 3 cards relatively quickly, relatively easily. All right, so 3 card bases, I chose them to be crumb cake, just standard size. And then you need a mat layer. So I chose pebbled path, and this mat measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. You need 3 of those. 3 envelopes. And then if you're using something other than a white base, card base, then I have 3 layers for the inside. So these measure 4 by 5 1/4. If you're using a white mat or a white card base, you don't need to have this layer. Okay, so those are the things that you're going to need to create the cards. And then we need things to embellish, right? So I would suggest that this is what I'm going to use. Okay, I'm going to use this bundle that goes with the DSP that I'm using. So the horse and sleigh bundle. Really what you're looking for is you want something with greetings, and I'm going to use this image here and these 2 here. So if you've got some leaves or some trees or something like that, that will work. And then I'm also going to throw in this greeting set as well. So although the card bases, the base of the card is going to be pretty much the same, I'm going to change up my focal point a little bit. Okay. All right. So that's what I'm using for stamps. The other thing you'll want to throw in is you'll want to throw in some label shapes. So whether you choose to use dies or punches, that's completely up to you. I am going to use my favorite Stylish Shapes dies. I'm going to use a combination of the circles and then these as well. And then we need some embellishments. So I'm going to use the Adhesive Back Snowflake Assortments, which is also part of that One Horse Open Sleigh suite. I'm going to throw in some crumb cake ribbon and some pebbled path jute as well. All right, so that's what I'm going to use. And then of course some coordinating inks. Now let's go ahead and get started. We're going to grab our 3 pieces of paper and our paper trimmer. And I'm just going to move some of this stuff off of my table so I have a little bit more room. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to stack our papers. So if you've got something with an image on the front, like I do here, I want to make sure that I don't cut my fox. So that paper is going to be on the front. And then if any of your papers are directional, then you want to make sure that they're going in the right direction. So I've got 2 that are directional. Now, just a little tip, I wanted to use this paper just because I love this paper. If you have pattern papers that are not directional, it will work a lot better. It works fine this way, but you'll see, I'll explain kind of what happens when you've got directional paper down the road, okay? So I've got them all going the right direction. I'm gonna stack them. I'm gonna slide them into my paper trimmer, and I'm going to line it up with 3 3/4. And I'm gonna make my first cut. 3 3/4. And I'm gonna set these 3 pieces aside. These 3 pieces are gonna be used for the envelope flap. All right, and then I'm gonna rotate it. Now at this point, I've got this image down here. I don't wanna cut him off, so I'm gonna cut it from the top. So I'm gonna rotate it this way, and I'm gonna line it up with the 5-inch mark. These pieces are going to be used on the inside of our cards, and these pieces are going to be used to decorate our card fronts. So I've still got all 3 of my layers. They're stacked nicely. Now I'm going to cut at an angle. Now I'm not going to give you any measurements. You can do it at whatever angle you want. As long as all 3 of your pieces are cut at the same time, this will work perfectly. So what I'm being mindful of, I don't want to cut into my fox. So I'm gonna go about like this, and I'm gonna cut from here down. Okay, I'm gonna slide these over. I'm gonna take these, I'm just gonna position them here. Now I'm gonna rotate it. Again, I'm not gonna give you any measurements because measurements don't matter for this. And I'm gonna cut, actually we can line it up here, it's straight. I'm gonna cut like this. Okay, so now I've got all my pieces. So next, I'm gonna bring in my 3 mats, and I'm going to go like this. So 1 of each layer goes on here. And then we'll do this one, this one, this one, and then this one, and this one. So you'll end up with 1 of each piece on your mat. That's gonna create our background. So now we're gonna adhere these. And I like to start with this particular piece right here because it's got 2 longer straight edges, and you're gonna leave about a 1/16 of an inch. And then it doesn't matter which one you go with. I know it is a really cool design, isn't it? It's kind of fun. I love that there's no waste, and it's relatively quick. And depending on the patterned paper, it really gives a different look. So I shared a reel over on my Instagram feed. It was a couple weeks ago where I did this exact same technique, except I used the Hello Irresistible DSP. And if you go check that out, you'll see kind of the cards that I created with that, because none of the patterns that I chose were directional with that one. I could have my cards going either portrait or landscape. With this, when your papers are directional, you can really only go in one direction. So that's one of the things about choosing papers or patterns that aren't directional. So I'm just lining these up. You can see that they fit together perfectly because we cut all 3 of them at the same time. So I do have another sample to share with you at the end using brand new product. And then in today's blog post, I will also share photos of the Hello Irresistible ones that I did as well. Okay. Almost done here. So this is a great card design if you need to make multiples of something. And if you want to use like several pieces, like I said, we're going to use 3 entire sheets of 6x6. Now 3 isn't a lot, but you know what? How often do you use up 3 full 6x6 sheets when you craft, when you sit down to craft, right? Okay, so now I'm going to attach those to my card bases. And so you can see that I'm kind of going like assembly line style. What I'm doing for one, I'm doing for all of them until I get to my focal points. And then I'll work on one card at a time. So this is going to go in the center so that we have a little bit of a wider border. I find that working this way is a little bit faster. And to speed things up, if you wanted to make your focal points all exactly the same, you could definitely do that. But I'm going to do 3 different focal points for these. All right. Okay. So those are ready to be decorated, but we're going to do our inside next, inside pieces next. So these little bits that I had left over, these are going to go on the inside. I'm just going to attach these to the top. I love this pattern, this gray and crumb cake tree pattern. So pretty. All right, now we're gonna attach these to the inside. And what I do is I'll normally pick whatever pattern is in the corner. That's what I put on the inside. It doesn't matter. There's all 3 patterns on all 3 cards, so. We'll do that, and then this one. And then this one, and then we're gonna do our envelope flaps. So this is where another thing to consider when you're choosing your patterned papers. Okay, so those are ready to go. Now our envelope flaps. So this is directional. So it's subtle. You could probably put it on there and it's not that obvious, but it fits perfectly. So if it wasn't directional paper, it would work great. However, I can flip it over and use the back side for this particular pattern. So I'm going to do that just because the whole point is to try to use it up. I don't want to add more scraps to my scrap bin. I want to use it while I have it out. So I'm just going to put that on there like that. And then we'll take our snips and trim around. So I'm just using the envelope flap as my guide and just cutting around it. This is the only waste. That's all that we're throwing out. So we've got one. So again, this one is directional and this side is directional. So this, I cannot flip this. Like I love this pattern. So I want to save this. I happen to have another scrap of this pattern. So I'm going to use this in its place and I'll just adhere that on here. So that is another perfect example of if you choose something that's not directional, you'll be able to stretch it. You'll be able to use it all up. And I'll trim that after. I'm not going to bother trimming that. And then my third piece was this pattern. So I'm just going to use this again. So I've got two that have that same pattern, but that's okay. They're not going to go to the same person. All right, and again, I'll trim that afterwards. So now I've got my 3 envelope flaps done and my 3 card bases. So now it's time to embellish. So we are gonna start with this guy. And I've got my pieces already cut. So this is leftover. It was on my desk. I had a strip left over, and I'll explain where it came from in a little bit when I show you my other samples. But I took my Stylish Shapes dies, the circles, and cut it out. It's embossed using the exposed brick embossing folder. And then I chose one size smaller circle that's going to go on top. And then this is cut from some pebbled path, and this is from the Horse and Sleigh dies. I think that's what it's called. All right, so we're gonna stamp on this first. And we're gonna use the 'Tis the Season, and then we're also gonna stamp on the inside. I'm gonna use some Pebbled Path ink. And we'll do the inside. Okay. So that's all the stamping that we're going to do on this one. Now we'll close this up, and I'm going to take some multi-purpose glue. We're going to add this to the center. Well, I'm going to go a little bit closer to the right-hand side, not quite in the center. I love this exposed brick embossing folder. I apologize if it's a little loud. Our garbage truck is coming around. And then I'm going to take some of this crumb cake ribbon, and I'm just going to put a couple strips of adhesive down here. And then we're going to go back and forth. And then we'll trim it. Grab my ribbon scissors. Okay, and then this piece is going to get some dimensionals. And I'm going to do the top and the bottom. And I'm using some bits around the edges because they're a little bit bigger. This is going to sit in the center of our circle. And then we're going to add our tree. Just going to put a little bit of adhesive on there, and this is going to sit right here. And then this twine, look at that, finished it. Love it. Okay, so this is our 2023-25 in color jute. It comes in all 5 of the in colors. So this is the Pebbled Path. I love it, except it's quite thick. So I am just going to separate one strand so that it's not quite as thick. Because we've already got some dimension with the layers of ribbon, our greeting is popped up. All right. Okay, and then I'm going to use a mint glue dot. Let's pop this on here. Okay, and then the last step is to finish it off with our embellishments. And like I said, I'm going to use the snowflake assortment. Just cover this up. All right. Oh, I guess I need this. I'm going to use the white snowflakes for this. And I'll add one here. And then a little one, and then a medium-sized one down here. And there's our first card done. Inside and out, and a coordinating envelope. Okay, so that's the first card. Next up, we're gonna do this guy. All right, so my bits and pieces for this one, I have a vellum circle, and then also cut from the Stylish Shapes. And then this is also cut from the Stylish Shapes. I'm going to use some Pebbled Path ink again. And this time I'm gonna use a greeting from the Open Sleigh, or the Horse and Sleigh bundle. So it says, wishing you a season of cheer. And then I'm also going to do a greeting on the inside. And this says, and a happy new year. Okay, so that's all the stamping that I'm going to do on this one. And then again, I have one of those trees or branches cut from Pebbled Path. So that's going to be one consistent throughout all three cards, is this piece. And a circle, I guess I have a circle on all three as well. All right, I'm just gonna use a little bit of adhesive here. And actually, you know what? I don't think it matters. Okay, so I don't wanna cover my fox over. So I'm just gonna put this up a little higher. Then we're gonna take a little bit of ribbon and a snippet, add a little bit of adhesive on here, and then we're going to use some glue to stick our branch on here. And then I'm gonna grab another little bit of this. So another piece of it, if I can separate it. There we go. And I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive so that I can kind of do like a little, almost like a figure 8. All right, and then we're gonna pop some dimensionals on the back of this. Peel off the backing, and then this is going to go across. Like that. And then for this one, we're going to use the copper. Just because we've got a little bit of copper in our fox, I'm going to use some of these copper ones. And I just realized I did something a little bit different, but that's okay. I'll show you what I've done. Okay, we'll do one down here and then a couple up here. I love these snowflakes. They're so pretty. Actually, I want to move this guy. There we go. All right. So there is card number 2 with our matching envelope. This is crooked. Let's fix this. There we go. That's better. All right. Card number 2. And now on to the last one. All right. Set these aside. Bring this guy in. Okay, so our pieces for this one, I've got my tree cut from Pebbled Path. I've got a little bit of a larger circle, and then I've got my 2 mounts that I'm using as snow. And what we're going to do for this one is we are going to stamp on the vellum, and I'm going to use the word joy, and I'm going to stamp it in copper. This was actually one, I should have used this for this focal point for the one with the fox, but that's okay. It'll work on there as well. And I'm going to stamp it on the vellum a little bit closer to the right-hand side. Now, when you stamp on vellum with our regular classic ink, it doesn't really dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle it with some clear embossing powder and then heat set it. And it will look like I've embossed in copper. Just grab my heat tool. So that serves the purpose of, it looks kind of, it's not metallic because it's not, it wasn't copper embossing folder or embossing powder that I used. It was just clear. So it gives it a shiny look, but it also sets the ink. So I don't need to worry about it smearing. All right, and then we're gonna take a little bit of adhesive and we're gonna pop this on here, just making sure that it is straight. Let's do it. I want my joy to be straight. Oh, and the other thing that I did was I cut off the bottom of this. I should have done this before. Just gonna cut this so that it's straight across. Doesn't matter if it's super straight, it's going to get covered over. All right, and then we're gonna add this wider piece down at the bottom. And then this piece is gonna get popped up using dimensionals. And we're gonna put this over top like that. And then we're gonna add some adhesive to the back here. Put our tree in here. And then we're gonna take our last little bit of twine, tie a bow. And we'll trim the ends so that they line up. Use a mini glue dot to adhere it. It's gonna go right on here. Exactly, easy peasy. I mean, it looks easier because I've pre-cut everything. It does take a little bit longer than this because you do need to cut, die cut everything, right? That's all done. All right, and then we're gonna add some snowflakes. Let's use the copper just because we use the copper words. We'll add a little one up here. And our greeting for the inside is this one here. So the joy and this greeting is from the Brightest Glow stamp set. All right, we're gonna use copper just to bring some of that copper in to the inside. And there we go. There is our third card done. And there's our matching envelope. So we've got this one, we've got this one. Move my stuff out of the way here. And we've got this one. So there is a set of 3 Christmas cards using the stack, cut, and shuffle technique. And then here is another set. So this I used the, I think it's called Winter Meadows from the upcoming mini catalog. All right, so this one, and this one. So we've got our matching DSP for these ones. So for this one, what I did was I substituted, instead of a third piece of patterned paper, I took a 6x6 piece of white and embossed it using the exposed brick embossing folder. So then of course, when I cut my slip, my side down, like cut down the side, it was sideways. And I didn't want my bricks going sideways. So instead what I did was I just embossed the envelope flap so that it still pulls in that embossing. And then remember I said on this card, I used a scrap. So that strip that I had left over, that's what I die cut my circles from. So that embossed layer was left over from this. So there's a couple ideas for you using the stack, cut, and shuffle technique. And then, like I said, I will share the ones that I did with the Hello Irresistible DSP in today's blog post if you want to see those. All right. So I hope that you guys try this out, this technique out. It is really fun and comes together really quickly. You could easily take a package of 6x6 pattern paper and make tons of these cards, and your Christmas cards would be done. So, all right. So thank you so much for joining us, or joining me this morning. I hope you guys have a fabulous long weekend, and I will see you again next week. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.